I don't think that went well. What's up guys, this is Ellibod here, welcome to the Ellibod Sports Network. And it's time for me to look back at how I did in my championship predictions. Beginning of the season, I did a predictions video for the English Championship, the second division in England. And looking at my predictions, I don't think I did very well. I started okay, went to rubbish in the middle, and then I ended off pretty well. But I don't think I've met my target for the season. However, I think I've done better than the Irish guy. So I'm going to take that as a badge of honour. So for those of you people that don't know, I use a point system for my predictions. If I am spot on, 5 points. If I am 1 place out, 3 points. If I am 2 places out, 1 point. Anything further, then it is an incorrect prediction. But also, the Irish guy used a system in which he deducted himself for every position he was out. I can't remember what he finished on, but again, I think I've done better. Let's just cut straight into it, shall we? So last place, I went with Birmingham. They didn't finish last, but they finished in 22nd. 2 places out, which means I get 1 point on the board already. This wasn't a shock that Birmingham got relegated. This is a club that were ripping themselves apart internally. And it just showed in their form. Like, they didn't do as bad as I was thinking they were going to do. But, you know, they still did really bad. There were so many games that they should have won but didn't. So many games that they should have lost by narrow margins and they lost them by landslides. I just don't see Birmingham getting any better. I think they're going to be folded in League One for a while now. There doesn't appear to be any particularly major ambition with Birmingham. You seem happy to see your club rip themselves apart. And again, it's particularly sad that you were in a playoff position, you then hire Wayne Rooney, and you sunk. I mean, there's no other way of putting it. But hey, benefit for me, because it's 1 point on the board for me already. 23rd, I went with Sheffield Wednesday, and nope, Sheffield Wednesday just outside of my 2-place caveat. So I don't get anything there. Sheffield Wednesday surviving in 20th place. Still isn't a good result, though. Still isn't great. And you know, when it comes to doing my Premier League predictions, I'm going to have a lot more to say about Sheffield United. I guess Wednesday will take comfort in that, and that the Sheffield Derby will be in the Championship next season. So I guess Sheffield Wednesday can take solace in that, but they stayed up and they'll get to take on Sheffield United in the Championship next season. But yeah, Sheffield Wednesday, they finished their season very strong, but again, there were just so many games that they really shouldn't have lost, and they lost them. There's a massive overhaul that I think should be done at Wednesday before you end up plummeting even worse than you did. You may have recovered at the end, but this could end up being even worse if you don't sort yourselves out. Sort your attack, sort your defense, sort everything. Okay, so 22nd, it's the first of the teams that did worse than I predicted them to do. And if I'd swapped Birmingham and this club around, I would have had 2 spot-on predictions. That's Rotherham. I went with 22nd, they finished in dead last in my 2-place caveat, so I'm now on 2 points. But, no, I think the future for Rotherham is actually a lot brighter than a lot of people realise. And as someone who attended Stevenage a lot last season, the acquiring of Steve Evans as your new manager, I reckon he'll have Rotherham back in the Championship before long. But no, this season Rotherham were bloody hopeless. Throughout the whole season, they just looked surefire for relegation and miles behind the rest of the pack. Again, I think the future is a lot brighter for Rotherham than it is for teams like Birmingham and the other team that got relegated, which I'll get to in a moment. But now, time for some good news. 21st, Plymouth. Spot on! I finally got a spot on prediction for the Championship. 5 points on the board. I'm on 7 points. And remember, my target is 24. That's what I'm going to try and meet. And good way there already. So, Plymouth. No, they just survived. It was 1 point between them and Birmingham. So, again, I'm going to be happy with that. Not really much I can say on Plymouth. Feisty in their moments, but nothing really particularly special. I mean, they had a reasonably decent 13 wins, 12 losses, 12 draws, 21 losses, which is not the worst record in the world. I mean, Huddersfield and Rotherham did a million times worse. What should Plymouth do if they want to stay up more comfortably? It's their defenders. I mean, to finish on a goal difference of minus 11, it's not the worst, and it's not the worst. I mean, the team above them finished even worse goal difference-wise, but now I think Plymouth needs to become a lot more of a rock at the back if they're going to have any chance of staying in the Championship longer than next season, because depending on what happens, I honestly could see Plymouth being relegated next season if they don't improve their defence. I don't see Plymouth staying up there too long. They need a rock at the back, plain simple. Right, so another club which, if I'd swapped two clubs around, I would have had spot-on predictions. Sheffield Wednesday and Huddersfield. I predicted Huddersfield for 20th, they finished in 23rd, outside the caveat, so no points there. No, Huddersfield did even worse than I predicted, and it's weird that this club win the Premier League a couple of seasons back. And now they plummet. They are going miles down. And I don't think Huddersfield will be in the Championship now for a long time. I reckon they'll settle for mid-table mediocrity in League One. Can't really see it going any other way than that. Well, next. Well, this is particularly embarrassing. 19th, I went with Ipswich. Shall I just leave it at that and move on? Massive surprise pack, Ipswich. Back-to-back promotions. And real fighters this season. I mean, they had a decent record. They only lost 6 games all season. The least of anyone, I think. Yeah. Ipswich lost the least games out of anyone in the Championship. The only reason they finished below the winners was because they drew more games. So, Ipswich, I don't think I need to say anything further with Ipswich. They did an amazing job. They silenced the doubters, including myself. And I think Ipswich will be a welcome addition to the Premier League next season. If they're going to continue playing like that, then they'll be very welcome. 18th. Again, massively outside the caveat. Team did double what I predicted. I predicted them for 18th. They finished in 9th. That is Coventry. Again, Coventry, a decent push, but look at that form at the end of the season. 4 losses and a draw. That is a collapse. So, I mean, if that had happened throughout the season, then maybe my prediction would have been spot on. But what's next for Coventry? Are they gonna try and chase for promotion? Are they gonna settle into the mid-table, or are they gonna plummet? Given the form at the end of the season, I think they could plummet. Not relegation, but I reckon Coventry could start to fall down the championship table next season. That end of season form is bad. I mean, it wasn't the worst. There was a team that finished below them that had a much worse form at the end, but I will cover them when I get to them. But no, Coventry, I think, can be happy finishing 9th. But it's another incorrect prediction for me. Here's another one I got incorrect. 17th, I went with Hull. I reckon they were gonna stay in the mid-table. They were a win away, or a little bit more than a win away, from a playoff place. So, credit to Hull on that one. No major changes I think are needed at this moment. I think Hull are heading in the right direction. It'd just be interesting. They would just need to even out a few more of those defeats, because there were a lot of times where Hull lost games when it was down to their own negligence. So I think they need to focus on curbing the egos. Really not much else I can say on Hull. Okay, so 16th. At least I've got some points back on the board. I went with Stoke. 16th, they finished 17th. 1 place out, 3 points. So I'm on 10 now. Okay, I can at least be happy when I was close with Stoke. Again, the mid-table club, but heading in the wrong direction. Stoke need to focus on defensive prowess more, and it's a shame because Stoke are always stereotyped as that defensive rock, that boring, conservative style. And they did let slip this season, but they did have some good results at the end. 3 straight wins. Yeah, that could take a team somewhere, but you've got to try and continue on that form. You've got to focus a bit more on your attack. I'd like to see a bit more of attacking focus from Stoke City. Right, well next we've got 3 straight teams that I predicted to finish in their place, and they finished 3 places better. Starting with Cardiff, I predicted 15th, they finished in 12th. Can't really add any comments onto Cardiff this season. They weren't bad, they weren't good either. No major need for change at this present moment. Yeah, I can't really say much else. Good job on Cardiff. Also, a good job for Bristol City, who I predicted for 14th. They finished in 11th. This is one that for so long it looked like I was going to get this one right. And then they just got those last few results they needed, even though they finished on a loss. The other results didn't really go the way that I was hoping they would. So yeah, Bristol City did 3 places better, and now another club that did 3 places better, Preston, who I predicted for 13th, finished in 10th, but Jesus bloody Christ, they could have done so much better if it wasn't for their form at the end of the season. 5 losses on the bounce to Norwich, Southampton, QPR, Leicester and West Brom. Now granted, a lot of those teams were higher up in the table, but Jesus bloody Christ, how do you go on 5 straight losses? This could be the start of a fall for Preston if something is not done about that end of season form. And also, they had the same goal difference at the end, -11, as Plymouth had. That's how bad they're going to be towards the end of the season. Imagine if it was like imagine what it would have been like if it was a relegation battle. That form gets teams relegated. So yeah, defensive focus, Preston. It's got to be defence. So now we finally get out of the trend of teams doing 3 places better. And now we have a team that did 4 places worse. Not that I'm complaining, I'm a Newcastle fan. Sunderland. Always nice to see the shit pit starting to fall again. I would say improve your midfield, but to be honest, if I saw you fall back down to League One, I'd actually be a very happy man. So I won't say anything further. Right. So the first of the Premier League teams that came down last season, I thought were going to struggle. Southampton, I predicted for 11th. They finished in a playoff place. Yeah, Southampton did a lot better than I thought they would. They seem to have themselves together. They're focused. There is a determination at Southampton. That end of season form, though, probably wasn't ideal. And also a huge part of me wants Southampton to lose the playoffs because Portsmouth are coming up. And so, you know, Hampshire Derby, South Coast, Portsmouth, Southampton, you don't get bigger games than that in the Championship. And, I mean, we had East Anglia in this season, and we're going to be having Sheffield next season. So, more derbies in the Championship will definitely be beneficial. So, I don't want to see Southampton come up, to be honest with you. Next, 10th place. I went with QPR. And this is a team that really were hopeless watching the games I could watch of theirs. There was so little going for them, it actually became quite sad. And again, they had the same goal difference, -11, that Plymouth had. If you're equaling the goal difference of a team that just survived, then you're in danger. So what do I need to see QPR do next season? Defence. You need defenders. Dip into the pocket and get yourself some defenders. You're rich enough. 9th place, another team that did worse than I predicted, although their end of season form isn't too shabby and their overall win-draw-loss ratio isn't too shabby either. Watford. I predicted them for 9th, they finished in 15th. Goal difference of 0, scored 61, conceded 61. Pretty bog average really for Watford. So again, the problems at the board level are just becoming more and more blatant, more and more obvious. And until you fix that, you're probably not going to get much higher than 15th. So yeah, I don't see Watford. I think next season might be more of the same, because there's just way too many problems that Watford have going on at board level. So I don't see much more for Watford at this moment. In 8th, I predicted Leeds, and Leeds are 3rd in the playoff places. I'm still on 10 points at the moment. I really need to start racking some points up here. But no, Leeds United didn't have the fall that I was thinking they were going to have, and I reckon there's enough fight in Leeds United to carry them through the playoffs. Spoiler there. I think Leeds are probably the best team in the playoffs. So, no, I think it's bright for Leeds. Not much else to add on that. Okay, 7th place. Ooh, this is a bad one. Swansea. I went with Swansea to finish outside the playoffs. They did finish outside the playoffs. Not in 7th, in 14th. What a disaster for Swansea this season. Again, so many games that they should have won and they didn't. Games that they should have been more focused on and they weren't. And by the time that they did pull their foot out and start chasing, it was already too late. Absolute meltdown for Swansea. And again, a bit like Watford, I don't see Swansea getting much higher than 14th now for a while. Can't really see a silver lining in this for Swansea. I mean, they did worse than Cardiff did. So, can't really give them one on that. Okay, so into my playoff places. 6th, I predicted Middlesbrough. They didn't finish 6th, they finished 8th. However, in my 2-place caveat, so I get a point. Finally, I get a point. I'm on 11 now. Now, this was tight for Middlesbrough. And I do kind of feel bad for them because they actually did have a pretty decent run. But again, there were too many games that they lost that they should have won. So, you need to focus more on attack. You need a striker that's going to constantly be focused on the ball. He's constantly going to be goals, goals, goals. And I feel at the moment Middlesbrough don't have that. So I can't really see much from Middlesbrough. They need to get that striker in the next transfer window. Here's a team that needs a lot more though. This is sad. This is a team that should be fighting for Premier League promotion, Blackburn. And instead, I think other than Ipswich, this is my worst prediction of the video. Because they finished not in 5th, but in 19th. Almost relegation fodder. If they hadn't got that last win at Leicester, then it would be Blackburn in League One. And that's a scary concept. Can't really say much else at this moment. It's it's sad to see Blackburn down there because I respect Blackburn so much and I really wanted them to be in the chase this season, but they just weren't. They really just weren't. What do they need next season? That goal difference minus 14. It's a case with a lot of these clubs. Defenders. You need some better defenders. And you need to structure them better. Because clearly your current structure isn't working. Blackburn Rovers losing 21 games in the Championship should not be happening. It shouldn't. 4th place, I had Norwich. They finished in 6th, 2 places out. At least it's in my caveat, so another point on the board. 12 points, 12 points, seeing as we are in Eurovision week. Norwich are still in the chase. They are still in a reasonably comfortable position. I don't think they're going to trouble Leeds. I honestly don't think that Norwich will give Leeds any sort of problem though. So yeah, I'm saying Norwich won't get up to the Premier League. There'll be another season in the Championship. But I reckon Norwich are in safe hands. Another team in safe hands and also in the playoffs, West Brom. I went with them for 3rd, they finished in 5th. Bit of a capitulation at the end of the season with 3 losses and 2 wins. They could have made a much better chase than they did and ended up in 3rd, which would have made me very happy, but they didn't. Can't really say anything major for West Brom. They're decent. Good fighters. Especially good seeing as they got rid of Steve Bruce. P.S. I don't want to see Steve Bruce anywhere near the England job. There have been rumours floating around that Bruce has been rumoured for the job. There's been rumours about him at other smaller clubs. I don't want to see Steve Bruce managing any football club. The man is terrible. Just get that out there. Right. So second place. I distinctly remember talking about how this team was going to become a solid unit. The Den was going to become a fortress. And it didn't. It was catastrophic for Millwall this year. And there were so many times they were close to relegation. But that end of season form, 5 straight wins, you can take that, you can do something with it. I want to see a club like Millwall that have never been in the Premier League before. I would love to see them come up just to shake things up a bit more. I know if they went up, they would go straight back down, but I think it would be really interesting to see Millwall in there. There were way too many easy goals that went in against Millwall, and if they're going to allow them in, this is going to end up happening. You're going to capitulate, even with your end of season form. But yeah, I think Millwall should be all right next season. They'll chase for it next season, I think. Now, this is what I'm happy about. I predicted it at the end of 2 seasons ago when Leicester got relegated that they would win the championship next season, and they did. They did not make it easy though. They had it all sewn up, then started to capitulate, and then got their form back at the end of the season. So, yeah, again, I'm happy Leicester are back up in the Premier League. They deserve to be there. They are a good team, they're well run, and I hope they stay up next season as well. There are a lot of teams currently in the Premier League that will probably fall into cannon fodder. So I'm happy that Leicester have had the run they've had, and I'm happy to see them back up in the Premier League. It's where they belong. So I got 5 points there. Not enough to get me to my goal though. My goal is 24 points. I got 18 overall. And my overall difference was minus 124. If I remember correctly, I beat the Irish guy. So I'll take that as a badge of honour, if anything. Just one last thing. The playoffs. I've already said it. It's going to be Leeds. Leeds, they'll easily breeze by Norwich. And I reckon it will be Leeds and I'm going to say West Brom in the playoff final. Leeds, West Brom in the final, and Leeds should make it easy. So Leeds to win the playoffs. God, the championship is so difficult.